Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Amber Campbell. I'm an author and a freelance editor. I write petty poetry for the modern woman, and I am filming in our shed. Just turned off the AC unit. I really hope you can't hear the fan. I might have to check on that. Hold on. Gah! I'm like breaking everything. Okay, never mind. No. I am too short and I'm out of frame and oh my gosh, this video. Okay, we're good. We're gonna work fast because AC unit's off and this is like 1 p.m. so it's already getting hot in here. But today I want to talk about creating my own MFA program to write the first draft of my new mystery series. Yes, it will be a series. I feel like most mysteries, they kind of are. This is just my poetry. We're not talking about that today. But I do have a couple books here. Some of them are still in storage, so I need to go find them. But everything else is going to be from the library, just, you know, save some money here and there, that kind of thing. But this whole thing started because I had bought the book. I have the book. It is somewhere in my house, or my mother's house, one of the two. But it's called DIY MFA. I'm going to butcher her last name. Gabriela Pereira? That's probably not right. But she published it back in 2016, and a really short blurb of it is, DIY MFA is the do-it-yourself alternative to a Master of Fine Arts in creative writing. By combining the three main components of a traditional MFA, writing, reading, and community, it teaches you how to craft compelling stories, engage your readers, and publish your work. So, as I mentioned, she had published this in 2016, and it was her alternative to a traditional MFA. And also 2016 was, ironically, the year I was accepted into the MFA program at Hamline University for their children and young adult literature program. Am I too low? That looks better. I don't know what I did, but it looks better. Anyway, I didn't go because I did not want to put myself into tens of thousands in debt for a degree that I wasn't sure how I'd make the money back. And in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't get it because it took me 7 years after I got my bachelor's to get back into the publishing and writing industry anyway. But in deciding not to go, I discovered her book. And so I'd used it back then to write my YA fantasy. Now I'm going to use it again to craft a mystery writing syllabus. So, as I mentioned, the book is somewhere in my mom's shed, and I will find it eventually, I promise. But she does offer a workbook, so you can go ahead and actually sign up for her newsletter. Not sponsored or anything like that, but if you want to get the workbook so you can actually do this yourself for whatever you are writing, go sign up for it and you get the workbook for free. I think it's like 5 or 6 pages long, but basically it breaks it down into writing craft books, books that you need for your specific genre, and then the community aspect. For me, I'm not really looking at the community aspect of it just yet. I'm trying to get it written. So what I'm going to do instead is look at other mediums involving the mystery genre to inspire me and focus on the greatest elements of writing a mystery. Now, these next books, I'm already sweating. One of them, two of them I do have on me. So the first is the writing craft books. Some of these I've read before, some of them I haven't. And I want to kind of expand on that, reread the ones that I know it's been like 10 years since I read them, but also find some new ones. So first off, for just writing inspiration in general, is Stephen King's On Writing. I read this about 10 years ago when I bought it, or read it, I don't even remember. I think this is actually a newer copy compared to the one I would have read 10 years ago, but I want to read this because yes, he's a master of horror, but the way he writes is so methodical, and I would like to get back into it because I used to be that way. At one point when I'm drafting, I would have written about 1,500 to 2,000 words a day, and while I'm editing, I would have edited 3,000 words a day, and I was doing that very consistently. And I want to get back to it because I feel like that's when I was like happiest, and oh my, I look like I've sweat through my hair and my hair is clean. Anyway, Stephen King On Writing. In the same wavelength, I'm going to read Stein On Writing. That is a book I have not read yet, so I will be taking notes on both of them, just kind of seeing, comparing. And then another book, which is somewhere in my mother's shed, is Janet Burroway's Writing Fiction, A Narrative Guide on the Craft. They do have a 10th edition out now. The one I had was the 7th edition. That one I read in college for my creative writing classes. Pretty much every creative writing class was centered on Janet Burroway. She is fantastic. If you've never studied her, if you've never had more academic or traditional style creative writing, teachings, I guess, you need to go into Janet Burroway, because that is what pretty much every BA and MFA program will focus on, for good reason, because she's such a master of the craft. It's entertaining to read her books, even when they're fully nonfiction. Bird by Bird by Anne Lamont, I think. I don't remember. I got through 30 pages and I was bored out of my mind and stopped reading. I know everyone, like, not everyone, most writers will swear by that book. I can't stand it. I could not get into it. So just always, with a grain of salt, take everything you hear as terms of advice or recommendations. Because, for instance, you may hate the more autobiographical sense of this book, but I loved it because Stephen King, everything he writes it like he does his fiction, so it's really entertaining. But those are going to be the 3 writing craft books I'm focusing on, just to ensure that I'm getting everything out. I do have this one. This is not necessarily a young adult, it's a new adult, but I am going to pull references from the mystery part of this, just to make sure I'm kind of following the whodunit, why done it structure. But at the moment, I don't have any specific mystery books in terms of writing craft books, but I will be gathering them up as I go. Next section, why do I keep moving you? I am so sorry. I actually do have some editing craft books, which, I need to readjust, sorry. I'm on a stool. I think I mentioned that in the last video. We don't really learn editing per se. It's weird. We basically learned certain aspects of writing and to recognize it, and so that while you go through self-edits, you recognize what's the weakest points to strengthen it. But we did not learn just straight up editing. So, discovered this one. The end of college or right after college, I found it on my own, and this is Self-Editing for Fiction Writers, How to Edit Yourself into Print by Rennie Brown and Dave King. This is the 2nd edition. Any edition is fine. I don't even know what edition they're on, but I absolutely love this. This is genuinely the best editing craft book I have ever read, and I've, again, read this over 10 years ago. So it's just very clear, very concise. It is not overly technical. It is focusing on the editing that you would do during developmental edits. This isn't copy editing, kind of line editing, but not copy editing, not proofreading. This is the voice, editing the voice, which I think most writers need the most help with. On that guideline, but brain is gone. It's reached that temperature in Texas where my brain is fried, so it's fine. The Artful Edit, which I'll be posting covers here if I haven't already been doing that. I have not read this one. I discovered it a few years ago, but I still haven't read it, so I'll be grabbing it off of probably Hoopla. Hopefully I can get it, and I'll be doing that just to ensure that, like, I want more comparisons. There's a lot of inspirational writing books. I'm not looking for those at this moment. I am looking for the craft books. So the Artful Edit I definitely want to get into. And then I am a copy editor, so Chicago Guides Copy Editing and the Chicago Manual of Style 17th edition for later on. And then another book I want to check out is Revision and Self-Editing for Publication. I don't have any of the authors' names. I just wrote down the titles from off of Amazon where I was looking them up. But any book I don't have, or that is not somewhere hidden on this property, I'll be getting it from the library unless I absolutely can't. A lot of these are older, so I'm hoping that the library does have them in circulation. Yeah, I'll use some of the titles, like for instance, like Stephen King's On Writing. It's going to be inspirational to some extent. I don't need to be inspired to write. I need to be aware of how my voice is coming across, how my characters' voices are coming across. So that's what I'm looking for. I know there are some good, like, is it called Don't Be a Starving Artist? Or The Starving Artist is Dead? Again, picture up here. Read that one. Fantastic. I loved it. Highly recommend reading that if you need, like, a kick in the butt, basically. But those are specifically the writing editing craft books I am looking for. So, next up, specifically, the mystery novels I am looking into. I'm talking really fast. I do apologize. I don't have any of these books on me, unfortunately. Again, I'm out here in this shed, and I didn't want to carry all the books out here. But My story is about a detective, I'm going to read off this, who is still early in her career and who doesn't have any police contacts, which means I want to focus on PI mysteries. I also want to focus on young adult and adult mysteries because this is new adult, so I want to see how I can find the middle ground between them. I just don't feel like new adult will do best in marketing for a mystery. They all tend to be adult, unless it's like a mystery thriller, YA sort of thing. So it'll be a college age mystery is how I'm going to be marketing it. But first and foremost, Nancy Drew. I have the first 5 of the republished stories, and then I have a couple of the Nancy Drew diaries. And so I love the whimsicality of it, that more youthful voice, like the amateur sleuth. Definitely more the vibes I'm going through with this mystery. Any cozy mystery series, I'll be reading the first books of quite a few of them. I am a subscriber to... I really should have done more research before I did this video. Anyway, I'll put it here. It's a YouTuber. Heart. Books by Heart. Heart by Books. I don't know. I'm going to butcher it. It's okay. I am subscribed to her newsletter. And so they do like cozy mystery blasts where you can get like the first book for free or for 99 cents. I must have about 10 of them on hand, so I just need to dive into them. Also, I'm assuming since they're cozy mysteries, it should be faster to read than like the classic mysteries, which I also will be reading. The one I talked about a month ago, the Scottish mystery, Murder of a Lady, was written back in like the 1920s. Hard to read. No, for any reason, then the writing style is from 100 years ago. So I have to like train my brain to follow that. But the cozy mysteries and Nancy Drew's will be a lot faster to get through. And the cozy mystery, I do want to highlight that because this is like a breezy mystery, if you will. I'm not trying to go into some deep thing. This is not SVU level crimes at all. So it's just meant to be something really fun and entertaining. And the classic mysteries that I will be reading, which I always recommend you read a classic. So it does not matter what genre you are, if it's young adult or fantasy or mystery or horror, whatever it is, read the classics because they are the pillar of whatever genre you are writing. And like for instance, if you're a horror writer but you've never read Stephen King, I'm not going to believe you. If you are a high fantasy writer and you've never read Lord of the Rings, I'm going to look at you weird. It's one of those things, you know. Yeah, it's just, you need to read your classics. So for mine in particular, I'm looking at Agatha Christie, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and then the 2 new ones to me are Donald E. Westlake and Dashiell Hammett. I probably butchered that completely. But they are all from like 40 years or older, I believe. I was trying to get kind of a gauge of them, but I'm also looking for the ones who actually won Mystery Writer Guild's awards, if I'm saying that correctly. I am horrible with awards. Does not matter if it's books or movies or TV shows. I never get it right. I don't know the difference between an Emmy, a Tony, and an Oscar at all. I just know if I enjoyed something or not. But that's what I'll be looking into, are specifically those authors, and they all also, those 4, do focus more on PI mysteries. So I wasn't going to read any 007 because I'm not doing a spy thing. No cops, like that focus from a cop's perspective, because that's not what my character does. So there's those. Lastly, we have my alternative mystery inspirations, and look at this. Look, is this upside down? No. I have 2 of these. I showed it off in the last one. I think my laptop's on top of it, but it's the Nancy Drew kind of board game mystery. Veronica Mars, the TV show, the first 3 seasons. And then we're also looking at the Nancy Drew games by Her Interactive. So it's, I just want the entertainment mystery. I want my readers to be able to like solve it but have some difficulty, like there's gonna be red herrings, that kind of thing. But I want it to be very, very modern, which is why these alternative mediums are things I'm really honing in on. Because the voice of Veronica Mars, I want that, but like 20 years, to now. Because I get that most people wouldn't get the, a lot of the pop culture references of Veronica Mars unless they like were growing up during that time. But I don't want too many pop culture references, but I want some. Like, I don't want this just to feel like a classic could have happened in any time, necessarily. that was a big piece of advice they gave us when I was getting my BA in creative writing, which is make sure a story is timeless. No, I want a story that people will read it from 20 years from now and go, oh my gosh, I don't get most of these references. Yeah, you had to be there. But that's one of the reasons why I love watching Veronica Mars, is there's so many small references to things that I remember from when I was a child and when I was a teen. And I think that's just really exciting to see, and especially read about. So I want there to be some pop culture references, and I want to feel really modern, even if it's going to only feel modern for like next 5 or 10 years. That's fine. I want to have fun with it. And yeah, that's kind of my DIY MFA. I don't necessarily have a timeline. I know I talked about wanting to have the first draft done by the end of June, and I decided to offer a new editing service, which I was really, really excited to announce. I now offer developmental edits for young adult and middle grade manuscripts, and I just got my first client. I offered a stupidly low price. I started with $600 for the developmental edit of a 50,000 word manuscript. For those who aren't in the know, a developmental edit of that range should cost around $1,800 to $2,400. But I said, no, I need to get my reviews because I am on Fiverr, and somebody picked it up in the first week. So now I've upped it. So instead of 0.012 cents a word, I'm now 0.015 cents a word. So it's about $750 for 50,000 words. I will just progressively raise it as I get reviews in order to build those reviews. So if you write young adult or middle grade and you find this and you would like a developmental edit, I also offer copy edits. I also offer beta reading if you'd like very, very small scale of a developmental edit, if you can't afford it, because that starts at like $80. So yeah, I'm really excited. So I am diving into that, and of course I immediately get just more regular jobs after that, after having gone a week and a half with no work. So I am focusing more on my editing versus my writing, because as I've mentioned before, that's what pays the bills. But I am really excited to dive into this DIY MFA. Let me know if you've ever done something like this. If you want to check out the book, I do highly recommend it. All of the books I talked about will be linked down below, so check them out if you'd like to. And then, yeah, that's it. I feel like right when I get a plan in place, like with this, and I'm planning this, then I get a bunch of editing clients. So it's like a catch-22. So hopefully this will enable me so that when I finally catch up on my editing clients, I can dive right into it and not reset my brain as much, which is also something I'm looking forward to. So let me know, as I mentioned, if you've done this before, but what genre you're like working on, or you know, what writing or editing craft books you recommend. And let me know if you liked Bird by Bird, because I could not stand it. It was the slowest book I've ever read in my life, and I have read, so sorry, I'm shaking the camera, John Steinbeck, Grapes of Wrath. Probably the book I've hated the most in my entire life. It's a horrible book. I know it's some great American fiction, and it sucked. I hated it. But yeah, no, that's fine. That's great. That's great. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm gonna get out of here before I completely melt, because yeah, now you can see my face glistening. But have a wonderful weekend. Have a great week, day, whatever you're having, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.